So good morning, everyone. It's nice to see all of you. You may find out after sitting like this that it's not so easy to relax, is it? It's quite hard actually to relax. There's so much tension in the body, and the body is constantly demanding something. It's constantly asking for your attention, giving you something to deal with. There's all kinds of emotions that are there, all kinds of contractions in the body. And as we meditate, you kind of can't run away from that. You're supposed to stay and actually deal with it. That's the difference to our normal way of dealing with stress, with difficulties and so forth. The normal way of dealing with stress and difficulties is to either go into fight or flight mode. Yeah, you may fight against the problem, trying to overpower it, or you may try to run away from it, going into some sort of distractions. And in meditation, you're not supposed to do that, even though you will most likely be doing it all the time, right? Maybe you're doing it at a very high level. Maybe you're sitting there and you have like all these kind of little subtle escapes of running away from your pain and your discomfort. You may not move your body all that much, but maybe you're still moving internally, trying to escape. Externally, barely visible, but internally you're still trying to get out of it. Maybe you're fighting with yourself, also very, very common. Like you're feeling something unpleasant in your body. What's the reaction? You're becoming tense around it, right? Have you ever noticed? I guess you're sitting there and something unpleasant arises. What do? You contract around it, right? The muscles become tense. It's almost like we're trying to protect ourselves from this pain, like spreading out and taking you over. There might be a little pain in your knees, for example. Then you contract around that pain, protecting the rest of your body from that to expand. The fear is that this whole thing will expand and it'll take over your leg and it'll take over your hips and it eventually will kill you, is what people actually say, right? Oh, my knee's killing me, or my back's killing me. That's actually the fear behind it. That the pain that you experience, the discomfort you experience in your body is killing your sense of self, which is primarily there based on the idea of I'm in charge, I'm in control. And that pain is threatening the idea that you're in charge, you're in control. Like illness would do that to you, right? When you get older and you get ill, you get that diagnosis. Problems keep showing up more and more, things are falling apart. It's a very severe loss of control right there. Like your appearance is not as youthful as it was 10 years ago, you're not as strong as you were 10 years ago, and it just keeps getting downhill and your energy levels are not the same. And so we start looking around and we try to find some way of dealing with it. Some supplements, eating more protein, hitting the gym harder, it's almost like an attempt that is coming out of fear to stop the inevitable, which is we're really threatened by this idea of losing control. And that pain in your body is reminding you of that. You're not really in charge. Your body is in charge. Things around you are very much in charge, right? The pain will determine how you feel and how you will emotionally react to things. The sounds around you as you meditate will determine how you actually react. Notice that. When you see something in your day-to-day life, you see something written or you see a post of a friend online or whatever it is that you see, you react to it. And that reaction is not something that you choose. When you see something negative, you react with contraction. When you see something positive, you react with opening. But that is not something that we choose. That happens more or less unconsciously. And it happens because the body is basically programmed to do what it does best, which is to embody craving, embody clinging, and embody suffering and stress. And it does that via that contraction. And if you don't notice what's going on, if you're not in touch with your body will just do all kinds of things. That really means you're actually not free to choose how you feel. Like, I could talk about something completely different right now and you would feel confused. Even though feeling confused is really unpleasant, you would put yourself into a state of confusion, and then you may blame my talk for that. You may think, I'm confused because of what this guy is talking about. Doesn't make any sense. What is he talking about? I can't follow him. Rubbish. And you feel unpleasant and you feel unhappy right now. But is it because of me, or is it because you don't really know what's going on in your body? And so you have absolutely no way of releasing and making yourself pleasant again. So of course then you would blame me for your pain, for your misery. And that's in fact what we're all doing most of the time, right? We're in a relationship with someone and we blame the other person for our own misery. Or we blame politicians, or we blame the weather, or whatever you name it. I have to be feeling unhappy and unpleasant because of things around me. But that's not actually true. Or feeling unhappy and unpleasant because it's an old habit that exists in the body, and the body for most of us is constantly on autopilot. It does what it does best. It perpetuates the function of patterns. Every little thing in your body has its own little survival mode. It tries to survive there. If you, for example, cultivate a lot of anger within your being, eventually that anger will become more and more manifest. Your nervous system will adopt to that new input of anger. Your chemistry will adopt, your skin will adopt, your blood vessels will adopt, your heartbeat will adopt, etc., etc. You're literally developing a body that is perfect for anger. That's just the way nature works. Whatever you're holding on to, that's who you become. So if you practice a lot of anger, you'll becoming a very angry person. That's kind of basic logic, isn't it? If you practice a lot of anger, you won't attain peace. Even you may yell to everyone else that all you want is peace and happiness. You're not going to encounter peace and happiness, because all you do is get better at yelling and being tense. Right? So how's that going to make you more peaceful? So if we want peace, and if we want happiness, and we want to experience goodness, we have to first experience this with ourselves. This should be basic common sense. It's like if you want to see something good in this world, manifest it within yourself first. Do you want to see happy people? How about yourself? Are you happy? Or are you angry that so many people are so unhappy? So you're one of them then. Instead of there being one less angry person, which could be you, you add to the problem. So now our tension is adding to the problem in this world. It's full of tense people who are acting out tension. That's what this world is. And we're acting out all this tension because what we're actually looking for is release. And tension and release exist in this kind of duality at the moment. A lot of the release that we get it because of the disappearance of a previous tension. So we like that kind of dual play of, I have a problem, and I have that problem actually because it's so nice solving it. It feels awesome solving a problem, so I'm busy creating a whole lot of problems for myself because it feels nice every time solving it. For example, I stay in a job that I hate, so I get rewarded each Friday by that feeling of, it's Friday. Love it. Finally, weekend. It's kind of like you're punishing yourself the whole week long so that you can really enjoy the upcoming weekend. And then in the weekend, you may knock yourself out, get totally drunk and whatnot. So it's just another type of suffering. And then you come back to the Monday. Oh God, it's a Monday again. I couldn't even really enjoy my weekend. And now it's starting all over. But yeah, thank God, because how boring would it be if that all of a sudden would change? You would enter a monastery, let's say, and suddenly you would have no problems anymore. Nothing to complain about. You'd quickly go around and find things to complain about. Guaranteed. Like everything's taken care of. You don't have to go to work anymore. There's no more, thank God it's Friday kind of thing, but you kind of stick to it, right? Because it's in the body. So even in the monastery, you have this kind of, it's Friday. The weekend is ahead. It's like the same day every day. Saturday is the same day, Sunday is the same day. You're in a monastery. So there is no Friday and no Saturday and no Sunday. There's just now. And you kind of have to deal with that. And then you have to understand, oh, wow, I'm creating a whole lot of tension based on the ideas that I'm holding about myself and routines and the world and people. I may actually let that go, because it's so much nicer if I let that go. Right? That feeling that you get on Fridays, nice, it's Friday. That feeling is what you want. Is in fact all we want. And we put a bunch of conditions in between us and that feeling. So I can feel that if, now you fill in your blank. It may be as simple as, I can finally feel when that stupid bell goes off after my meditation session. And I'm like, what I'm doing right now is just waiting for it and feeling all grumpy that it's not going off. And I put myself into massive tension so that when it finally goes off, I go, How twisted is that? You're doing that meditation session and you sit there for half an hour torturing yourself so that you can go, when the bell rings. Imagine you do that every day. Who will you become? And what will meditation be for you? Well, nothing but an act of tension that is then ended by the bell. People go to whole retreats and then feel awesome when the retreat's over. Like you're missing the point completely. The whole point of a retreat should be, and I hope that is taught in the retreats, the whole point of a retreat, in my opinion, should be to guide you to the feeling of release, letting go. And that's actually nice. But you very rarely hear that it's nice. Not a lot of people talk about it being nice. A lot of meditation teachers, they'll tell you, you have to let go. Just let go of your suffering. And everyone is like trying to let go of their suffering. It's miserable. A lot of retreats, a lot of temples I've been to, people are miserable. Shouldn't be the case. No, people shouldn't be miserable in temples. They should be ecstatic. They should be so happy. And then you've got those people who realize that they're really unhappy and they're in a temple and it's kind of strange that they're unhappy. So they start to pretend to compensate that they're really happy and really kind. And they become very fluffy to everyone and so forth. It's like, it's got to be real, you know. What's the point of the whole teaching if you're not happy? So you want to first learn how to make yourself happy. And you do that in nice circumstances. Look, we've got an aircon on here. It's beautiful birds outside. We're not sitting near to a trash dump, right? There's not a trash incinerator next to us and it's all the toxic smokes are coming in and we're just sitting through the pain and, you know, grinding our teeth, trying to get through the sessions, you know. That's not the point. The point that I'm making in the beginning is you want to be pleasant. It needs to feel nice. How can you absorb into something that doesn't feel good? How? Whereas if something feels good, I don't have to ask you to concentrate on it. Do I? Imagine that. You eat your favorite food after a 2-day fast. And then your favorite food comes along. I don't have to ask you, well, concentrate on the food, please. At the moment when you smell it, you'll be hooked. And you'll be fully concentrated on it. And you'll get absorbed into the food without any difficulties at all. It's bad news if you have to concentrate on the food that you're eating. If you have to concentrate on something, it means really you're not enjoying at all what you're doing. Then you cannot get absorbed into it. That's the downfall. I'm not saying that that's bad doing that. I'm saying that you won't get absorbed into it if you're not enjoying it. If your whole attitude that you bring to the meditation practice is one of grinding and trying to push through, you're not going to get deep. Guarantee. That's a guarantee. I can say that much. I'm not a very good meditator at all, but that's for sure. You can't get deep. You can't relax into yourself if you're not enjoying your own presence. Impossible. By definition, if you don't like yourself, you want to get away from yourself. If I would tie you up with your worst enemy, would you have a great time? Or there's some zip line. There you go. Got to spend the rest of the day with this guy. Like maybe both hands like this, You constantly have to look at each other, like both will be like very awkward, You can't even look at each other. It's so unpleasant. The looking, the feeling of closeness with someone you hate. Because the same thing is going on with yourself, very likely. That's why it's so unpleasant to sit there for 30 minutes or what and actually try to relax. Because we don't like ourselves all that much. That should be obvious. You may like yourself ideologically on the realm of some thoughts, some mental abstractions like, oh yeah, I love myself, I really like myself. Well, the proof is in the pudding, isn't it? If you sit there quietly with yourself, you enjoy yourself? You have a good time? Or are you waiting for the bell? You tell me. The proof is in the pudding. If you really like yourself, man, it's going to be great. You don't even want to get up when the bell rings. You're having a great time. It's wonderful. Sure, maybe you adjust your posture a little bit, but you go right back into bliss. That's why kindness is such a powerful contributing force to meditation. If you lack kindness, if you don't like yourself, if you don't have any warmth, compassion for yourself, it's going to be really hard. So one of the secret little tips I think are very relevant for a lot of meditators is to find that little spark of joy. Small one. Like when you breathe out, does it feel nice? Does it feel a little more nice than before you were breathing out? Like you breathe in, you feel your body, and you breathe out and you release whatever tension you found. So I feel a little bit better. You're on track. Now if you were to keep going like this, and it would get nicer and nicer and nicer and nicer, because you're on track. And when it feels really nice, you don't even want to stop. Why? It'd be a crazy idea to stop. It's like stopping in the middle of eating your favorite food after a 2-day fast. It's insane. You're really enjoying it. Why would you stop? You'd be angry if someone takes it away from you. It's like, hey, that was the thing I enjoyed so much. So that's what you want to find in your meditation practice. That little spark, and then you feed it. You nourish it. Think of making a fire in the wild. Like with a stick or something like that. You twist a stick into a wooden board. It's really hard. Have you ever tried making a fire like that in your life? God, it's so hard. I've tried a lot. Couldn't do it. Couldn't mention it. All I got was a bit of a smell of smoke. That's as far as I got. It's hurting. So hard you have to just keep going, right? Meditation is a bit similar. You have to keep going. You have to keep showing up until eventually you get some smoke. Then you get a spark. And that spark, that's not it. Once you have it, you need to protect it, and you need to put it into something that burns easily, and you need to blow into it and bring air into it, and then eventually you've got a flame. But that's not it. Now you need to put it into bigger, like branches and stuff, and then it slowly starts catching a fire. Once you put on the big logs, then you can rest. With meditation, it's very similar. In the beginning, you want to go for that little spark, that little joy, and then you feed that. You keep coming back to it. That goes completely against the grain, because everything in your body and your nervous system is going to tell you, your knee's killing you, your knee's killing you, your knee's killing you. Pay attention to your knee, oh my God, it's killing you. If your nervous system is constantly directing your attention right there, doesn't matter how pleasant you are elsewhere in your body, it's a bit of a fight that goes on. And that's what we trained in the beginning, to shift our attention from the problem to the solution. We're not diverting it away from the knee pain. So you bring your attention to the knee, you feel it as you breathe in. As you breathe in, you find some space, some softness. As you breathe out, you release. And it's slightly better. The cool thing with pain in your body is that if you bring your mind into it, and your mind is kind and compassionate, and if you find space in it, and you soften around it, it starts to melt into that space. It starts to dissipate. It's slightly better than before. Well, great, you're putting the principle of true meditation practice, you're embodying it right there. And that's the only principle ever that you're going to need, is the principle of release. That's it, through the whole path. Whether you're going through the door of relaxation, stage 1, or you're going through the door of releasing time, stage 2, or releasing thoughts, stage 3, or releasing all the other senses except for one, stage 4, you end up in the same space, which is stillness. So that's the whole main principle. And you won't be able to release if it's not joyful, if it doesn't feel good. So look out for that. Are there any questions?